classroom set. And so what you get is this little tray and this little receiver that's just like the Mimio, bar receiver. And then you get a kind of a metal suitcase to carry them in. And I'll go grab that real quick so you guys can see what that looks like. You're not connected. That's the one thing that that they need to be aware of. They're ready to go. That's it. They're ready to go. So there's no unit. Like some of the classroom response systems. No, those are good questions. So I want you to notice, you guys have both used Mimio before, the studio, so probably looks familiar, the screen and the toolbar, but here's a new piece right here, okay? And you can see it says choose class. So this is when the response systems are plugged in, you're going to see that. If you don't have your response systems plugged in, you're not going to see that extra little bar right there. Icon, and go to Gradebook. Okay. When I go to Gradebook, then I have these choices of classes, and I'm going to create a new one for us. So I will come over here, create a class. So Integration Specialist Practice, and I'll add that. So there's my class. Now I'll add a student, and I'm going to say Doug. And what I'm going to do, I could put in a student ID if I want to. I can put all that information in. I can assign Doug a specific handset if I want to. Or I can say auto. And I'm just going to leave it on auto just to show you what that does. I'm just going to click add, and then I'll go ahead and do Rhonda. And click add, and I'll add myself too so we have a third person. So I get to be in multiple classes. So I'll show you more in the gradebook in just a moment. Really what we want to do is we just want those to be created. Because when we go back to the notebook, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose my class. And I'm going to take attendance. So notice I'm just moving from left to right to make things happen. So here we are. Notice that we've been assigned handsets. Doug, you're 1, Rhonda, you're 2, and I'm 3. So let's get those specific handsets. If you're here, push your blue light. So we're here. Any of the kids that are absent, their handset wouldn't be picked up, that button wouldn't be pushed, they wouldn't be scored. So it's not held against them, basically. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we've just taken attendance, and now I'm ready to give you instruction. So blah blah, a bunch of interesting things that is going to fill your minds. And I'll just shuffle through my presentations. We did that one already. And when I come to my first question, I have 2 elements on my screen. So if you don't mind, I'll explain these really quickly. The first thing I put on my screen was the question, and I chose a yes or no, so a 2-part question. The second thing I did is I put a results icon on my screen. This is not necessary. This is just a visual to tell the kids how they're doing. It's all it is. You don't have to put that on there. You could fill the whole screen with your question. You could have an image on your screen and question. You could have all the elements that you would normally have on a slide and that question. As the teacher, I have 2 things that I can do to start the quiz, to open up the quiz for answers. The first thing I could do is I could click on this little guy, or there's a little green button down here. I can click on that. doesn't matter which one. But watch your handsets. Once I choose that, what's happened to your handset? And notice that the handset buttons match the buttons on the screen. So this says, using VoiceThread for Community Builder, help me understand the tool better. This isn't going to mean anything to you guys. You can just answer however you want. Before we go too far, though, what I want to show you is, here's my time elapsed. Here's the number of people that have answered, right? And then as someone answers, you can see that will change. And then I know the number of people that are in the class. I can watch that number. The minute everyone has answered, it stops, gives me my results, and gives an indicator of the correct answer right away. Pretty straightforward. And we'll only do like 3 of these. So this was a yes, no. Let me skip that one. But notice that the results is a different result type. So this one is a 3-part multiple, or not part, excuse me, 3 answer choices, multiple choice. So when I start this one, and it doesn't matter what the question says, but when I start this one, you can see you now have A, B, C, and D illuminated. Because now it's a multiple choice.
Is there any way to get that question full screen or bigger? Or
yes.
You said there was a full screen.
What I had done when I was building this, I wasn't paying attention. I was just building it. And I never changed anything to make it smaller or larger. So I'll show you right away how to do that. Now, before we move on to this one, notice that someone hasn't answered, and that's great. I don't know that I necessarily like this, but you could blank the screen and then click.
Or freeze it.
Click on the, click on the flag. Click on the number, I couldn't remember. There we go. Okay, so Rhonda hasn't answered yet. What I could do at this point then is give a prompt and say, guys, make sure you look at your handsets. If you've still got lights lit up, you need to answer the question. And, you know, then that gives Rhonda the chance to go, oh. You know, the thing I like about this system versus other systems is other systems have the numbers on and it shows who hasn't answered. It shows who's slow and who's fast. And I hate that. So I'm like really...
Can you time each question like the other times?
In this teacher-led one,
okay,
all you
this
can
is
do is...
This is just a prompt.
Right,
okay.
Right. And I can stop it at any time. I can say, you guys have 10 seconds to answer, and if you don't answer, like run...
So that's your start-stop button?
Yep,
okay.
Start-stop. I stopped it,
okay.
And you can see... And notice that the way that the right answer was selected is different. The first one had a smiley face. So,
I have no idea what that says up there.
yeah, I know, it's because it's so small.
So I stopped it.
Yeah. To get a brand new blank notebook file up. The first thing that I need to make sure you understand is you can use the Mimio Studio, import your PowerPoint slides, or import images, or import whatever you need as your teaching tool. And then, if you want to do a quick assessment on the fly, insert a slide with the assessment piece. Do you know what I'm saying? You can even insert your whole PowerPoint and then insert a slide into the PowerPoint to do a quick assessment. So if you've got material that's already done, bring it in here, add your assessment if you want. I'll also show you you can do the assessment outside of the notebook. So.
And then you can also just do an oral assessment. You can ask your own question, right? And
yes.
then do a yes, no, or...
Yes, yep, absolutely.
And this is okay even if you don't have Mimio, if you use Smartboard instead of Mimio?
You'll have to use the software if you want to put those questions in. You could use the Smartboard software and use, I forget what it's, Quick Vote. You could do that if you wanted to, and I'll show you what that looks like so you can see.
Okay.
But you can still use your Smartboard and use the Mimio notebook software. It doesn't make any difference. So, okay. And you can actually, just really quickly, you can import your Smart Notebook files into Mimio.
Good.
So there have been a few little glitchy things, nothing that makes it unusable so far, but if they wanted to, they could do that Or they could just use the quick vote, which I'll show you. Okay, so when I'm in the notebook software, I need to have the gallery up, and the gallery is what allows us to add content to our slides. So I'm going to go to the gallery, and you can see that in the gallery, there's a questions and results section. So I'm just going to open that up a little bit so you can see. I've not messed with the games at all. I'm just going to let you know that up front.
Shocker.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. So these are the question types you have. You have multiple choice 2, multiple choice 3, 4, 5, a true, false, or a yes, no. So you can choose any one of those. So I'm just going to grab a multiple choice 4 answer option. And I'm going to take it out here, and I'm going to enlarge it. And then I'm going to click. See how big it is? What I had done was I hadn't made it the size I wanted it. I put the questions in before I resized it, and it didn't like that. So I'm going to make my question big before I put the information in. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And those are things you just kind of figure out as you go, I think. You know, it doesn't hurt to learn some of that stuff. So you can see I've got answer 1, 2, 3, or 4. Which one is going to be my correct answer? I'll say 4 is going to be my correct answer. So I change that. And then if you notice over here in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little, almost looks like a sun. If I click on that, I could change the question type if I needed to. I can change the correct answer indicator, so I'll just change it to a check mark. I can weigh each question if I wanted to. And that's all I'll do, so I'll go ahead and say check. So not a lot you're going to do to it. Once you click out of it, it's pretty much ready to go, but I do want to make one more comment to you. You can right-click on it and lock it so that you don't accidentally move it. You know, if you were putting other elements on your page and building away.
So you could put a graphic on there, or a chart, or another text box,
yeah,
or anything.
absolutely. So I'm just going to unlock all just so you can see now that it's unlocked. Okay. And then the one thing I also want you to notice is I did click off of the text in there, and that got rid of the which one was the correct answer. Because if you don't do that, you see which one's the correct answer. You want to be careful with that. I learned that the hard way. I didn't click off it, and then I said, now let's take, I was showing them how to build. I said, now let's take this and quiz. And Ann Brucker goes, we know which one's the correct answer because it's showing. Why is that happening? I was like, oh, I don't know. And I clicked in there, and they disappeared. I was like, okay, well, you have to click in there to make them disappear. Interesting. So back over to the gallery, just to show you really quickly. Those are the questions. Here's the results. If I wanted to have a result, I could put one in. The trick with this is, and this will just make sense after I say it, if you want a question result graphic, you have to put it on the same slide as the question that you're asking. You can't put it on the next slide because it doesn't then know what question you're referring to. So you have to put your question and your results excuse me, on the same slide. There is a thing called session results, and that you can put on any slide anywhere, and it's a cumulative result graphic. Ask you questions about the content of this site. What I can do is have my toolbar, do my teaching, and then just like you said, Doug, okay, guys, before we leave, I want to make sure you're getting this. So let's just do a quick assessment. Grab your Mimio vote, and I come down to this guy and do quick vote. It gives me a floating. So if I wanted to, I could pick a specific class, record it in the grade book, or if I'm just getting, I just want to grab some feedback, I could do anonymous.
Is that already set up? Is anonymous already
Yeah, it's
set
already
up as
there.
You didn't have to set that up. It's
No,
okay.
It's already there.
Okay.
The only ones that I did are the ones that have the names on them. And so what I would do is I would say, I think what we'll do here is I'm going to do a true or false. This website is an example of a social network, true or false. And you can look on your handset. You've got, a green or a red. You make your choice. You can see people voted. And I'm going to stop it on my own there. And then what it does is it comes up and you tell them what's the correct answer. The correct answer was true. And now that's been recorded in the grade book if I would have chose a class. But you're basically done. All right, good job, next question, and you just keep going. Let's do a multiple choice this time. So I'll say blah, 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 A, B, or C. And you choose your choice. And then I stop it. And I say, okay, actually, you guys, I kind of tricked you there. Really, the correct answer was C. That's all you're doing. I mean, you're just getting a really quick, oh, wait a minute, I'm not sure about that one. You can revisit the question by going back. And look what it does when you revisit it. It pulses on the one that you chose. So it's saying, right now you said the answer was B. So if you want to change that, you just click the other one and then move forward.
You can change your answer at
Yep.
any time.
Anytime.
And
As long as you don't get to your last question and answer it, I think that's when you're done.
And this is called self-paced.
Self-paced. Yeah, the little blue guy right here, when I'm done, if and then what I'm going to do is leave it on this screen instead of jumping to the other screen, and we'll just fake it. So I start it here, and then as you go along, notice that it said, okay, there we go. 1 has a question. If you hit it again, it'll pop up again.
And that's the number of the receiver, or is that number of questions?
I think it's the number of the receiver. So
Okay.
both
And then
one
you clicked it and it
two.
showed who was asking.
So all I did was click on the kid with the head with the question mark. So both Doug and Rhonda have questions, which tells me that I may have made not a good question. If